first came to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, I can remember being attracted right off the bat when somebody said that this was a free program. I didn't really believe it, you know. I thought that later on they'd come with the con. And then the second night they started selling books, and I figured, well, here it comes. Pretty soon they'll get me for something. I also heard somebody say all you had to have was a desire to stop drinking, and then this would come about. And then other people told me that I didn't have to do anything really, that there were no musts in this program. And I believed that, and I stayed drunk. Just couldn't seem to put this thing together with all of them beliefs. Many times I had a desire, you know, to stay sober, but nothing ever happened. I had a hell of a desire to stay sober the day they took me to the penitentiary. Many times when I could feel that I was getting ready to go into convulsive DPs or hallucinations, I often had a desire to stop drinking at that particular moment too, but nothing really ever happened. I used to sit on bar stools, you know, drunker than hell, with a big desire to stop drinking. And my desire would be so strong that I'd tell the bartender all about it as I was ordering another drink. I'd say the only reason I'm in here is because I got a desire to stop drinking. And because it was free, I never figured I had to do anything. And I had come to this program, the only reason I had come was because somebody had said, if you want to do something about your drinking, that's apparently the best place to go. So I came here for no other reason than apparently to stop drinking without it costing me anything. So I was sort of amazed about one of them early meetings when I took time to listen as the group recited the Serenity Prayer, how wrong they were in using that prayer. They were talking about serenity. They weren't talking about sobriety. And they were saying, God grant me the serenity. And I figured, hell, I didn't come here for that. If I can get sober, I'll get all of the serenity I want. So I sort of thought that the prayer should have read, God grant me sobriety. And because it was free, I didn't like the word grant, so I substituted the word give. So I used to stand there mumbling the Serenity Prayer this way, God give me sobriety. And I'd done that for 6 years. And I stayed drunk for 6 years, waiting for God to give me this thing called sobriety. I don't really know how this revelation came about, but one day, you know, I was sitting someplace when I guess it might have been one of those moments of clarity, when all of a sudden, as I was reciting that Serenity Prayer to myself, as I often do on occasions, I realized really what those men and women meant by the usage of that prayer, and I believed and understood exactly why the word grant was in there instead of give. Up until that time, I had always assumed that the word grant and the word give were similar. You give somebody something, you grant somebody something, it's the same thing. I found out that there's a world of difference between the word grant and the word give. They basically almost mean the same thing. They mean to transfer from one to another a gift or an object or an item of something. But when you give somebody something, there are no conditions attached to it, as you would a birthday present or a Christmas present. Grant means to give to somebody, but it's only theirs to keep, as long as they adhere to certain conditions. All of these big foundations that are in a hurry to give money to different kinds of agencies or support groups or facilities such as this, they're anxious to give the money, but if you take the money, you have to adhere to certain conditions that are laid down by the giver. And the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is exactly like that. It is not a free program. It's not something you just sit on a stool waiting for God to trot by and flip over to you. There is a lot of effort required in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, not only to get it, but to keep it. I had to have a thing called acceptance. I had to accept the fact that I was powerless over alcohol. It's easy to sit out there at a meeting of this nature and say,